Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thanks for showing up today. Appreciate that. So how many took my body analysis survey? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. I want you to close your eyes and imagine yourself walking down a suburban sidewalk. The street's lined with dogwood trees, they're flowering, it's spring, and you're pushing a stroller with a young baby for whom you are responsible. All of a sudden, across the street, a dog goes to the end of the leash and frees it from the owner's hand and is charging towards you, ears pinned back, eyes angry, teeth flashing. All right, you can open your eyes. Do you think it would be useful to know what to do in that situation so that no one gets hurt? Okay. I'm not a certified trainer, applied animal behaviorist, veterinarian, none of the above. What I am is a conscientious, responsible dog owner who's read a dozen books on dog training and communicating with canines, and now 5 peer-reviewed journal articles. I think our species can be arrogant in our ability to communicate sometimes, and this makes it difficult to see the world from another's perspective, whether it be another person or another living creature of some sort. So I would like to offer you some basics on reading signals that dogs are trying to send you and using your own body to convey information to canines. So let's talk now about what dogs are trying to tell you. It's our comfort zone. Sometimes we do some strange things that we can't even explain very well. So imagine someone that doesn't speak your language trying to understand why you're doing those strange things. When you make direct eye contact with a dog and approach them, from their perspective, it's kind of rude. It's natural for our species because we're very visually oriented. But now I would ask you to close your eyes again and visualize yourself. You're driving down the interstate. The weather's perfect. There's few cars on the road. You're headed towards a place that's really important to you. All of a sudden, coming straight for you, an 18-wheel tractor trailer. All right, you can open your eyes. That's about how scary your approach can be when you're rolling up towards a canine. It's about how intense it can be. And it has to do with our size and our stature. We're kind of big, and because we stand upright from 2 feet off the ground, we look really huge. When dogs approach each other, and you should do likewise, they approach each other in a wide arc, and they use their peripheral vision to track their target. They don't walk towards each other, they approach each other carefully. And when they get there, they offer each other a handshake in the canine tradition, which I'll explain in a few moments here. So what you should really do is offer the handshake, and don't be offended if it's not accepted. Do you walk through the grocery store and greet every single person whose path you cross when you go to the grocery store? So has anyone done any research on body language? Any reading casually on body language? Okay, so there's some interest there, that's good. So if those of you who have would have found that it's kind of like words and sentences. So one individual gesture is like a word, and reading someone's mood or intentions requires congruence. It requires an entire sentence. You need to take all factors into account. So an example for humans, you could be angry in a seated position, you could be angry in a standing position. And you don't need that piece of information to make that call. That's the mood side of it. But then intentions, if someone looks angry and they're standing versus when they're seated, that information is useful in that way, to know their intentions. So now we move to canines. A dog wags their tail when they're nervous, when they're excited, when they're amused, all of the above. As explained by Patricia McConnell in her 2007 book, For the Love of a Dog. So looking alone at a dog's tail doesn't tell you anything about mood or intentions. You need to look at their eyes, you need to look at their ears, you need to look at their mouth to really determine where they're at. And the social information that we derive from the faces of other humans actually has useful analog in the facial expressions of canines. I left this up for a while on purpose so that you could get an impression of that. Patricia McConnell included side-by-side photos in her 2007 book, the same book. And they're really excellent plates because it's the same people. In this case, I'm shopping on the internet, so some of the effect is lost. So dogs smile, they glare, they cower in fear, and it's in surprisingly similar fashion to how we express our emotions on our face. You ever heard the expression, dogs don't lie? So let me move on then to dog hugs. So now that you've seen some analog faces, maybe you have some measure of understanding of how these dogs might feel. There's a happy one in there. So my audience analysis survey led me to believe that everyone thinks dogs love hugs. All dogs love all hugs. And you are somewhat mistaken. With a stranger, nothing could be more uncomfortable socially for a dog. To them, it's a status statement. So from 2 feet off the ground, you're a much bigger dog, acting intentionally to make that bold statement, not a clueless primate in love with fluff, which is maybe how you feel. So if you must hug, be polite, invite. We return to that concept. An invitation is a less offensive approach. So the conversation has been a little one-sided. We're only on the dog side now, so you might want to learn a few things in canine language for your own use later on. So you and I, if we were to shake hands at our first meeting, would press palms. That's the invitation, by the way.
Oh.
That's the tail wagging science. So you and I would press palms. Dogs are not bogged down by dignity, and their sense of smell is at the core of their perception, not like our visual cord. So in her 2002 book, The Other End of the Leash, Patricia McConnell provides a tremendously informative comparison of primate behavior, canine behavior. And so you place yourself 2 feet off the ground, and your sense of smell is at the core of your perception. That's a handshake. So dogs will offer each other a sniff of their unique signature smell. A dog has a powerful enough sense of smell to differentiate your left and right hands. Maybe you didn't know that, but it's cool. It's true. Which happens to be, the signature smell happens to be concentrated at their rear end. This is why they do what they do. So outside of formal greeting, body language is their preferred method of communication. They don't vocalize to the same extent that we do. So in his 2000 book, The Truth About Dogs, Stephen Budiansky details an interesting anthropological theory of our species' coevolution. He goes back thousands of years. But regardless of the actual mechanism of coevolution, the important point to take away is dogs have adapted to being able to learn to derive information from our behavior in a social context. Julia Rydell and colleagues in a 2008 PLOS ONE article demonstrated that puppies as young as 6 weeks will make a counterproductive choice given human-provided social information. So there's 2 sets of food in front of them, one a larger quantity. They'll choose the smaller quantity if directed to do so by social context.
Wow.
You say it's important, it's important. Absent the social context, however, they'll follow their nose to the larger food portion. So this brings me to an important point, context. Context is crucial in providing information to canines. So you and I can generalize abstract concepts. We can do calculus problems. Maybe some of us can. I have trouble. But dogs learn by association. So how they're feeling at the moment, the social context, other dogs, are there people around, the color of the walls. The idea here is to be mindful, especially when a canine looks scared. You may have to remove some of that extra information to effectively communicate. Under stress, a dog will behave very differently from a familiar friend that you might know. So if you're trying to communicate, it's not just surrounding context, it's also your body. If you're distracting in some way, tapping your foot while trying to use a word, those 2 signals could be misconstrued. So you may get an association of behavior with your request and end up not getting the same result next time because you're not tapping your foot. So the little things matter. So, and that's something only you have control over. Your own body, only you have control over it. And so you have to be responsible that you're communicating effectively. So if you take away only a few lessons today, you have a serious advantage over other people if you are aware of some of these important concepts. And items we covered today included basics on reading signals that a dog is trying to send you and using your own body to convey information to canines. So it's my sincere hope that armed with this knowledge, you will offer that charging dog a friendly, a polite handshake, and everyone will walk away happy and maybe make a friend. Sharing my life with my dogs has brought peace, happiness, and chaos into my life every day, and I wouldn't have it any other way.